Hi folks, this is Dave Higgins. We're going to do a series of videos on this particular image of Rob Smith. He's done a painting of it, and you'll see that later on. And what I want to talk about in the beginning here is the things that we should be doing even before we think about starting the painting. We should be optimizing the painting as much as we can the image as much as we can in Photoshop before we start the painting. Now, one of the concerns I have in this is that the shadow area of the image does not balance correctly with the light on the boat. It's too dark in relationship to the light on the boat. And in a painting, you need a lot of detail in the image area to work with because you want to be able to decide what you're going to leave in and take out. So to fix this, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a copy of the original. So now we have a copy of the background layer. And the reason we're going to do this is the edit we're about to do is a destructive edit. It's going to destroy pixels, and if we did it to this layer, we wouldn't be able to compare the difference. So we're going to go on up to Image, go to Adjust, and get down to Shadow Highlight. And we can already see that the shadows have more detail, and we can use this slider up here to control that. So I'm going to bring in quite a bit of shadow detail and adjust it. There we go. Now, highlight detail, I think we got plenty of that. Maybe tone it down just a tad. Color, let's back off the intensity a little bit. And we're going to say OK. Now, we can turn this one off, and we can see the difference. Now, we can see we have a lot more information to work with here for our painting. Now, the next issue we have to deal with is the color. I think the red has a little too much intensity, so we're going to tone down the red. We're going to go on up and we're going to go to Hue and Saturation. In Hue and Saturation, we can come down here where it says Master, and if we click on red, now we're only going to affect the red in the image. It's not going to affect any of the other colors. So what I want to do now is I'm going to pull the saturation down on the red. See, the boat really isn't in bright sunshine, and so I'm trying to get the value of the red to actually match the value of the lighting of the scene. Okay, so I think that looks more realistic to what's actually happening in the image. And we'll click on that. Now we can turn that on and off. So that's a little bit better. Now I think I might have taken out a little too much, so you can just come on up here to opacity and you can pull a little bit more back in. And that's the nice thing about using these sliders. You can do a filter and then adjust it to fit the image. Now I think the whole image, the red is fairly warm, but you see how the white in the boat is blue and all the shadow areas are blue? That's usually an indication that the picture needs to be warmed up some. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here and we're going to go to Color Balance. This has three different places you can adjust: shadow, midtone, and highlight. So let's start with the shadow. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull a little yellow into the shadow. Okay, and you can see the difference. See how much warmer it looks already? And now I'm going to go to highlight and do the same thing. I'm going to add a little yellow to the highlight. And that's going to take care of that blueness in the boat. You see how the blue in the boat now goes away? We are much more comfortable. We like a warmer picture than a cooler picture, especially when it's obviously bright sunshine. So this has brought that up. Now let's close that. And we can compare the difference. On, off. You see how the warmer picture makes it more comfortable? So let's turn this one off, turn off that, and that's what we started with. So we have a lot more information now to work with the painting. Now what I want to talk about is the basic composition of the image. The boat isn't using the image area optimally. We see we have a lot of space up here at the top that's not doing anything. And we have a strong line right here in the boat. Now, if we can get that line at more of a diagonal, the picture will automatically have more power and impact. Now, because there's no horizon line in the picture, we could actually twist this boat any way we want, and our brains will accept it. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to try twisting this a little bit. So I'm going to click on the crop tool, and I'm going to get a little bit more diagonal going on that. pull the crop tool out. You can add space with the crop tool as well as take it away. Okay, I think I want even more diagonal. See, I want this coming across those 2 points. And I want more space in front of the boat than behind it. That's called anticipatory space. Anytime you have something that looks like it should be moving, you want more space in front of it than behind it. Okay, that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to click on the crop tool. Let me click the OK on the crop tool. Now you can say, hey, that's fine, but we got all these blank spaces in the painting. Well, there's a great new filter in Photoshop that's called Content Aware Fill. So if we just go on over here and we click on the selection tool, and we click on these areas with no information, if you hold down the select key, shift key I mean, you can go on over and select this area. And now we're going to go on up, and this is the magic, I love this. We're going to go up and we're going to go to Fill. Whoops. I have to be on the image. I'm going to go on up, go to Fill, and you can see we have several different selections here, so you want to make sure that you're on Content Aware Fill. I'm going to click OK. Magic, isn't it? It just looks at what's around it and fills the area, and in most cases it does a pretty good job. Now I'm going to do deselect. Now the only problem, now there's little lines in here, but we don't have to worry about that because by the time we finish this as a painting, we're never even going to see that. Now the rope is cut off, so what we want to do is we want to add the rope back in because that's an important part of the picture. So I'm going to just take the clone tool, come on down here and select it. Come down here and just drag it out there. Now when I get to where the rope's going to run out, if I take my finger off and click, it will continue to copy the rope. So I think that looks pretty good now. Now if this really bothered you over here, you could take the clone tool and just select and go on in and take that line out. Okay, so now it's ready to do the painting. I'm going to go down through and turn these all off again. So there's the color balance. I think that color balance could use a little bit more warming. I'm going to take that up a little bit more. There we go. So we turn that on and off now. There we go. So turn that off. Then we turn off the hue and saturation. Turn off the shadow highlight. We turn these back on. And that's what we have. Now we have the image optimized for the painting. We've done everything we can in Photoshop to prepare the image to make it as strong as possible before we start our painting. Now that I'm happy with this and I have this all done, because I'm going to make a painting out of this, I want to simplify this. So I'm just going to go on over here and click up here on this little hash lines, and I'm going to go down to flatten image. You can also do that up under layers if you're more comfortable with that. So now the image is ready to start the painting. So the next part of the series, we're going to start the painting and see what happens with it from there.